Bienvenidos! ¿Cómo estás todos? Hello everyone. So, today I have been thinking about doing this video for a very long time, especially today after I had a very bad experience for my trip when I went to go see my niece when I visited St. Louis. If you don't know, I'm originally from St. Louis. I am Jacques. I moved out of the state close to 4 years ago. Should be 4 years now. And I never turned back. So I've lived in 3 different countries now. I'm currently in Mexico City. I moved here from Barcelona, and before Barcelona, I lived in London. So today I had this very long conversation about a bad experience that I had with American Airlines. And it prompted me to have this conversation with the employee that one was helpful because I had therapy, so I was able to really articulate my emotions and was actually what was going on and what transpired. So to give you a brief story, I went to St. Louis, and a lot of you may know or may not know, Juneteenth is a holiday now in which the African American or brown people in America, they celebrate this holiday for their independence outside of what originally was Independence Day. But after doing much research, this holiday was deemed not independent or not freedom for everyone at that time that they started it. So I go to America, and while I'm going to America, I always am full with anxiety every single time. I'm always full with anxiety, especially because my life is more simpler. The way I do things are more simpler. And I know that America has a lot of biases. You know, it's not a country that's very supportive for people that look like me. Now for someone that actually speaks another language, it's not very supportive in that way. And for me, it just gives me a lot of anxiety. I'm not allowed to be who I am when I'm in America. So I go to St. Louis to visit my niece. She's just born. She's a beautiful little baby. And, you know, I'm speaking Spanish in the airport. And it's right when we're deplaning, you know, I reach out, letting people know that I did arrive in America. Everything's okay. And a lady tells me, you know, this is America. You know, you should speak English. And before I could catch myself, because I wanted to curse her out. I really did. But I remember that it was just nice, nasty. I remember nice, nasty is always the way. And I remember looking at her and I told her, don't tell me to speak English because you're an idiot and that you don't speak another language. And since we're speaking about it, let's talk about how this country doesn't really have an official language. You like to pretend as if it does. And it always throws me for a loop because with things like that, I'm always thrown off because in other countries it's so celebrated. It's such a good thing in the Spanish culture and Latin culture. They've embraced me with speaking Spanish, you know. Everyone has embraced me. They've not frowned at me and looked at me like, ha, you know, how dare you try to learn? You know, it's always welcome. So moving forward with that, you know, you see other microaggressions outside of the gun violence, outside of this. It's one of those things that on the plane, I remember getting on the back of the plane on my return home to Mexico, and an Asian woman said to the other flight attendant, today's a holiday. And the lady said, what holiday? She says, it's Juneteenth. And I remember the lady saying that it was absolutely foolish. She's like, it's so foolish. And she kind of chuckled, you know, and it was just like one of those aha moments of, you know, oh, you know, you're in America. The people are racist. You know, they're so entitled to be racist. They're so entitled to feel that they can say and do whatever they want. So it brought on this conversation after speaking to American Airlines today for 2 hours. Shout out to American Airlines employee Jordan. He got everything taken care of for me. It let me know that this journey of stepping outside of something of what I would consider an abusive relationship, it was one of the most difficult things to cut off everything that you know, stop everything that you're doing, and to start over. And I remember I had this conversation today with the employee. I said, I know it'll never amount up to what our ancestors did or how our ancestors did things, but to me, it feels like that type of journey. I leave a place where I don't have a culture. It was stolen from me. You've always had to adapt, and you've always been afraid, and you've always been on edge, and then you leave, and then everybody kind of looks at you weird because this is a very isolating incident, or change. It's very isolating. It's very lonely. It's very tiring. It's very on edge. I'm surprised I don't have more gray, because even though you're at peace, you always yearn for family. You always yearn for friends. You always yearn for these things and these people that you no longer can be connected to in that way because you live in another country. And it was just one of those things of understanding that all of this was for a bigger reason for me, for my mental health, for my life. But I think so often, which is why this is just playing right now, so often it's so glamorized because I live in different countries that people don't understand that I'm lonely as fuck sometimes, I'm lonely as fuck. And that's oftentimes where even if I'm in another culture and I'm, everybody has always been so welcoming, it's still not my culture. It's not the colloquialisms or the ways or the phrases or the things that I'm used to. I'm adapting at 33 another way of doing this, of another way of living my life, another way of thinking about life. And I always tell myself I'll never go back to America, do anything other than going back there. But it's always just like I'm fulfilled in my life, but I just want you all to know that this is always not easy for me. This isn't always just, oh, this is great, this is amazing, he's having a great time, it looks great. It's oftentimes I'm very lonely, and it's solely me by myself. It's like there's no one I can depend on. It's nobody I have to depend on. I have to depend only on myself in these other countries. Even when I lived in Barcelona 4,000 miles away, I was still only me, always me. I have to make sure that I'm okay. And that's why I wanted to make this video, because I know a lot of people have reached out to me lately and asked me, how did you do it? Why did you do it? And, it's always the same thing. You're so brave. You're so brave. And while I agree and I thank them for those kind words, I just want to be real about what's going on and to let everybody know that this is not an easy experience. I know a lot of people say all the time, I want to leave. I want to go to another country. And I always tell them, do it. Do your research and see what makes you comfortable and things like that. And for me, I always want to be 100% honest and 100% real with all of you, because I never want it to seem like, oh, he's at the pyramid this week. He's in this, he's in the Estacas this week. He's in the Potolan this week. Oh, he was in Barcelona de Madrid and this and that. And while it's beautiful, and I've seen some beautiful things, some very beautiful things, I do want you all to know that it does get lonely. So if you see me frequent more on Instagram or Facebook at a point in time, it's just I'm a little lonely, just wanting some interaction. And that for me is always very, 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 very important when it comes to just being as transparent, as honest as I can about this situation with you all, because I don't want people to think like, he's having a ball. Yeah, I have a good time, but I do also get lonely. I'm very isolated. I'm more of like a hermit in a way now. I go out a lot when I can in other places, but there's often times where I literally just stay at home and watch TV, and I'm just cool with that type of life. But But it's also one of those things where when I do go out, I go out and I have a good time. But that's why I was like, you know what, I'm going to tell them, make a video for them and let them know, like, this isn't always, you know, peaches and cream. This isn't, you know, all that glitters isn't gold. I may be living a better life mentally, physically, and spiritually, but what I had to leave and not being able to see people tomorrow. You know, I always have to plan ahead and plan ahead and plan ahead. That's what I want you guys to understand, okay? So as always, I love you guys. This was just a personal video that I wanted to put out just so I had it. And I'll see you guys. I'll be posting 2 videos this week. I'm gonna try to do 3 videos every week of something educational, something fun, and something that we all need, okay? Thank you again. See you guys later. Ciao.